Hi, my name is Marty Boyle, and this is my presentation on how I believe sports teams can become more sustainable. A little self introduction. As I stated, my name is Marty Boyle. I'm an incoming sophomore at the University of Tampa, a part of the class of 2025, and I am currently studying sports management. And I chose to study sports management because I have always played sports all my life and have a deep love for sports and also have a deep interest in business. And I feel like combining the two can put me in a field where I can be very successful. And my topic for my presentation today, as you could tell by the title, is that I believe sports organizations can become more sustainable, and I will give examples of how later in the presentation. Why I chose my topic. So, with sports management having to deal with the business side of sports and the business decisions in sports, this deals with setting up teams, setting up venues for sports games and whatnot. And these are very key ways that sports teams can become more sustainable. Some simple changes that sports teams can make to become more sustainable is the material of the products that they use at games, whether it be switching from plastic to paper straws or what material they use to hold their concessions in, as well as the garbage bag material that they use for their garbage bags and their garbage cans, as well as also setting up a recycle bin as well as a garbage waste bin. These are all very simple but key ways sports organizations can become more sustainable and produce less waste so that future teams and fans can enjoy these games. Organizations also can become more sustainable through their scheduling, and this is through how much they travel to and from each city, as well as how often they do, also how far they travel in the season. So simple ways that they can fix this is through scheduling and obviously creating divisions of local rivals to create less travel and less emissions from flying, as well as scheduling less home games or games on back-to-back days to reduce emissions and also to produce less travel through times travel between each game. Another way organizations can become more sustainable as well as they produce large amount of their emissions is through how they power their stadiums as well as their jumbotrons, as they use their jumbotrons and large electronic signs to wow fans and captivates fans' eyes. So there is obviously a lot of electricity that is needed to power these through such long games. Yet there are very simple ways that these teams can power these more sustainably, such as solar panels or other more natural ways of powering these large jumbotrons. From some sports organizations thinking more sustainable, these teams have to think more sustainable as well as eco-friendly because have such large gatherings and they also make money off of having these large gatherings. For example, in 2021, of the four major sports leagues in America, which consist of Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, the National Football League, as well as the National Hockey League, all accumulated a total of 129 people throughout their various sports games throughout the year, some hosting as much as over 100,000 people gathered at once. One example of a sports stadium that is newer but is not sustainable as it could be is Allegiant Stadium, which is in Las Vegas, which is home of the Las Vegas Raiders, as this stadium costs $1.9 billion to maintain throughout the year. Yet obvious experts say that this stadium can be more sustainable through solar power energy, as well as using paper materials, as well as more eco-friendly materials at this games, as this would produce less waste and less waste money for them. And as we stated before, they can reduce emissions through how they power their stadiums. And we are now going to get into examples of these teams being more eco-friendly and sustainable. Some examples is obviously, as we said, playing on back-to-back days and playing closer games with in-division rivals. This can lead to less travel and less emission from these flights, which can be more sustainable for the environment. And some examples across the country of stadiums being more sustainable. One example is the newly opened Atlanta Stadium, which uses solar power energy to offset their energy consumption, which doesn't create any emission for them, as well as they're able to catch and hold rainwater and filter and clean it throughout the stadium so that they do not have to use water from local water preserves. And another example up in Philadelphia is Lincoln Financial Field, which is the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, uses 11,000 solar panels surrounding the outside of the stadium. as well as 14 industrial-sized wind turbines to power the stadium. And doing such and using these 11,000 solar panels as well as 14 wind turbines, this is able to create 6 times the amount of energy needed to power Lincoln Financial Field. Just imagine if other sports teams were able to produce energy this way. And then a future example of a sporting event that everyone knows and loves being sustainable is the 2024 Olympics, as they will make buildings for the athletes to stay in using low carbon rates, as well as using cooling system throughout all their events that are 40% more efficient and 40% more sustainable than normal systems used throughout the world at buildings and sporting events. Here is a page of my references, including 3 websites and 1 non-website reference. Um, Here's where I got all of my information and photos from. And I want to thank you for listening to my presentation about how I believe sports teams can be more sustainable going forward so that future generations can enjoy games. I hope you going to your next sporting game can find ways that this sporting team can be more sustainable and maybe even one day help these teams become more sustainable. Thank you.